The theme for this week's Liturgy Prep, the fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time, can be found in both the Gospel and the responsorial psalm, where it says, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs." The thread that runs through all the readings could really be summed up in one word: humility. In the first reading, we hear, "Seek the Lord, you humble of heart," and "seek humility." And then in the second reading, we hear that God chose the weak, God chose the lowly. And then in the Gospel, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." But I especially love the way that it's said in the opening prayer, the collect. It says that we're called to love in truth of heart. And the founder of our religious community, Father James Flanagan, would often speak about humility in these terms. He said that humility is really living in the truth of our own littleness and the truth of God's greatness. And that if either of those were missing, it's not humility. So it's not thinking less of ourselves, but it's thinking of ourselves less. But I was wondering this week, why is it that I'm so afraid of my own littleness? Why am I afraid of my poverty? And I was thinking, well, it's because it causes me to have to trust in someone other than myself. So I started asking myself the question, what are those areas where I'm afraid of my own poverty? And it's something that we can all ask ourselves. Where am I depending on my own strength and then saying, this is mine? Or, I can beat this addiction on my own, or I can control this situation or this person. And then we find that it doesn't work out very well. Because even though the readings do talk about the importance of being humble and lowly of heart, they also talk about the great blessings that come from that. In the first reading, we hear that they will pasture and couch their flock with none to disturb them, and that God will be their wisdom, and finally that they'll inherit the kingdom of heaven. And it's not because God looks on the lowly, on the humble, and says, I'm going to bless you for your humility, but humility opens us up to being filled with the riches of God. And so maybe for this week, we can look at those areas in our lives where we've tried to fill ourselves up, where we've tried to stand strong apart from the grace of God. And look at those and give them to God. Open up and ask Him to come in and be our strength in those areas. God bless.